And I want to ask you to please get some rest for yourself.
I'm gonna try.
And concerning Trayvon Martin, it definitely should be a murder charge, not a manslaughter charge. And I'm sure the attorneys are aware of that. But I really want to emphasize that everybody should be pushed for a murder charge, not
you did, and I said good response. Did you get that? Good reply? Yeah, you got that. I said good reply. Oh, yeah.
I think the words that he said that they attributed to Trayvon Martin, it seems more logical that those were the words of George Zimmerman.
Okay, all right.
I made sure.
You remember?
Now, what about this guy, Ken? What about Ken?
He's
supposed to be on X-Series tonight. Let's get Ken.
Well, you would
running for
think
Congress, Anthony.
That first of all, and I think
we have to get him in the lineup.
Why would
we have to just get to that.
Just 2 minutes. That's too much to say that. And the guy that had the gun would be the more likely person to say it. I wasn't there, don't know, but Judge raises a good point. Thank you, Judge.
Anthony,
thank all of you. I'm sorry I didn't get to all the callers and all the tweets.
Nancy,
but
all these people in Congress,
I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be on this case. Don't forget tonight, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live on MSNBC, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central. Among my guests will be Attorney Crump. I might do the whole show tonight on this because we've got new tapes coming and new information, even while I've been on the radio. Remember, be part of National Action Network's convention. Call right now, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or nationalactionnetwork.net. Thank my executive producer, Fatim Muhammad, technical producer, Lee Majors, phone screener, T.Y., Ty Smith. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody. Reverend Al told you personally. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Keeping it real.
The views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of either WGCV 620 AM, its staff or management, or our parent company, Glory Communications Incorporated.
South Carolina, the nation, and the world. We put it all in perspective with Armstrong Williams up next on WGCV 620 AM.
I'll never forget that moment.
Never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
It started with a phone call.
I got the text when I was at work.
My first call ever as a member of the National Guard. This was it.
We got to the operation. We lived on the wild side.
Just how important the Guard is to my community.
Guard is an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com. Discover what it means to be a citizen soldier, to serve locally as well as globally. Look into the benefits, including career skills and money for college. Take a moment. Go to NationalGuard.com today.
Hello everyone, this is Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Don't curse, speak English.
Armstrong.
Virtuous society.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong.
Elevate your mind.
Armstrong.
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned in to the most conservative of our brothers.
Armstrong.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, I want to spend the first segment discussing and revisiting what everyone can't stop talking about is the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman debate. You know, after all that has been said, all that has been done, and none of us know the truth of, I know the facts, and the details until they're vetted through the legal system. Now, I do find it fascinating that the prosecutor would recommend to the state attorney that Zimmerman should be charged with homicide and manslaughter, and the advice is not to proceed forward. Still, after all the evidence and all that has been read and all that I've heard, this is not an issue of race. Listen, my attitude is that this is an issue where someone felt they had power with the gun and they used it. Whether they felt threatened or not, that has to be determined. Whether it was self-defense or not, that has to be determined. I'm not getting into those issues. But there's no question in my mind that George Zimmerman should be locked up until some kind of determination is made. He should not be allowed to walk scot-free. With that said, there is a possibility that there was a confrontation between Mr. Martin and Mr. Zimmerman. I know people have watched the video posted by ABC Online, which shows him in the police station with no blood, no bloody nose, no lacerated lip, no head injuries. I just think it's also irresponsible journalism to do something like that in the middle of a very controversial subject matter when it's still being vetted. I just think that the media sometimes does a disservice and they fan the flames. But still, I have not moved that far away from my position that George Zimmerman should be arrested. And I just don't think that he's telling the whole truth. The problem is Trayvon can never talk again because he was killed. So the justice system and those of us that believe in justice must become his voice. I don't agree with the mob. I don't agree with the protests with Reverend Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. I don't agree with it. I just don't think it's the time and the place. Because this is a situation that should be put in the hands of our legal system and let the legal system do its job. I don't think mob justice or vigilante justice in any way should influence this outcome. I also don't understand why the so-called leaders in the communities are not condemning, absolute condemnation, the Black Panthers for putting this bounty out on George Zimmerman's head. There's just no way you can condone that. There's just no place for that. No, absolutely no place for it. I'm sorry. There's no place for it. And we cannot, I don't care how you cut it, you cannot justify it. There is no justification for it. And many people have a reason to be angry and upset. But again, we should be just as angry when there's black on black crime. I don't understand how we can get so bent out of shape when a young black man is killed, when race is involved, and not have that same kind of zeal and zest when it's the other way around. Situations like this can make you less sympathetic to the concerns of people who getting shot and killed overall if you just have a different standard depending on who's pulling the trigger. It seems like protests are for the sake of protests. I mean, there's no consistency. There's no moral equivalency. There's no principle in it. This is a protest which clearly has to do with race. If this incident did not have a multiracial component, it would be handled by law enforcement officials outside of the glare of the national media. I don't think this should be tried in the glare of the national media. The operating assumption of most people would be that the police and courts would make a fair assessment, which they did not. So I will grant you that. They did not. So they're part of the reason why this situation has gotten out of hand. They did not, to me, pursue this situation to the full extent of the law. There's no way that George should be walking free. I just don't think so. In the Martin incident, though, and the tragedy, the assumption of fairness does not seem to apply merely because the victim is black and the shooter is not black. It appears that this is driven by leaders, the media, and a news-hungry media who want to promote and exploit the victim mentality of this community. The result is not blind justice by the legal system, but vigilante and mob justice. Again, look at the Black Panthers calling for the assassination of Zimmerman with little or no condemnation from black leaders in the community. This is a problem. Look at black high school students in Miami vandalizing a local Walgreens pharmacy as part of their protests. Look at Congressman Bobby Rush violating House rules by wearing a hood on the House chamber floor. Non-blacks are involved in merely 5% of all black homicides. America, the real crime is that blacks are responsible for 95% of black homicides. And most of these intraracial homicides are perpetrated and perpetuated by the drug and gang culture inflicting much of the black community. Yet, rarely is there a protest against the drug and gang culture in the black community. To the contrary, it is often glorified in media and rap music. And in no way are we minimizing, excusing, and overlooking the tragedy that happened to Trayvon Martin. I am just distressed by it. But I'm also distressed by the rush to judgment that the American legal system will not act fairly in this case. And part of that is part of the reason why law enforcement did not do their job. They dropped the ball, so they left themselves open to criticism. And that may have been true in the Jim Crow South 60 years ago, but I think most of us, I want to believe that most of us still believe that there has been significant progress in the fairness of the legal system since then. I would like to think that most of us believe that our justice system has come a long way. I think most of us would want to believe that what we're seeing in Florida is the exception and not the rule. I think most people are decent. You will always have your renegades wherever you are. But as we address these very painful issues, when our young men die for no reason at all, what about when they die at the hands of people that look like them, which accounts for 95% of the deaths in this country? Don't you see the inherent flaw in the selective protest scenario? There's something that's wrong here. We need to value life. I don't care about the color, the socioeconomic background. It's a tragedy that someone lost their life. George, you have a comment.
Back to your 6 highways are undermining and demeaning the death of this child. This child was murdered, and it's a racial issue because of the things that this individual said before he killed this child. I don't understand how you can come on and you want to put down our leaders, Al Sharpton, and what they're doing to try to make things better for our young black youth. I have yet to see you on your radio station come about and make an issue of black-on-black crime. But you can come here and criticize everybody else except for your sponsors, the New Greenwood and everybody else. When they make negative comments about our children, our leaders, and everything else, but you have nothing yet to say, but you want to make this a thing as something to say whereby somebody dropped the ball. You got a administration, a government in that city that cooperated with a cover-up, and it will come out in the end. And you are, I don't even know what you are. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for calling. Again, anybody who listens to this broadcast knows that we constantly rail against black-on-black violence. You know, listen, George has a right to his opinion. I respect his opinion, don't agree with it, but he's part of the problem. He's of the same mentality of the Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons protests. It's only because of race. They want to see race in everything. I just would like to see less of our young men dying for no reason at all. I would like to see us value all their lives, okay? We must look for the principle and the moral high ground in this. And let me tell you, every life is valuable, okay? Every life is significant. The attention should be the same for anyone that has lost their life at the hands of violent crime. I'm Armstrong Williams. We're streaming live at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. You can go to our website, rightsidewire.com. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Hello, my name is Ron Moulton. I'm running as a Republican for the City Council in the nation's capital, a political arena dominated by the Democratic Party. I'm seeking office in Ward 7, overwhelmed by unemployment and poverty. For the first time in decades, we have an opportunity to be elected as the people that need the representation the most are now responding to the principles that will uplift them. For more information about my values and to donate, please visit www.ronmoulton.com.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Linda, thank you for calling. You have a comment.
Yes, I do, Armstrong. Armstrong, I don't understand why you're coming against Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton. They're not leading this situation with Trayvon Martin in a racist way. They're acting on what the parents requested, and that was for them to get involved with the situation. And even though they are doing what they are doing in speaking out about what's wrong with this particular case, it's not just them. The whole nation is in an uproar. Even overseas, they're in an uproar about what's going on in the United States.
Linda.
And as far as Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton goes, they don't just speak out for one side of the coin. They speak out for all sides of the coin.
Linda.
If they're invited into the situation, then yes, they give their input and they come out and march in behalf of that situation to ensure that justice is done. Because everybody is guilty until proven innocent.
No, they're not. They're innocent. No, they're not. They're innocent until proven guilty. What are you talking about?
No, Armstrong, no.
What?
No. The same way it is with the Republicans, you are guilty until proven innocent.
No, that's not our law.
The Republicans do things
that is not.
way.
That is not.
Lie.
I'm not here to argue with you. I just want to have a conversation.
No,
I'm not
Armstrong.
I'm not trying to argue. I just want to have a conversation because you're a reasonable person. You called in before. Okay, let's have a conversation. Okay, let me ask you this.
I was really talking about Reverend Sharp.
I want to ask you. You asked me. I just want to raise this to you. Why is it? Why is it that 95% of young blacks in this country are killed by other blacks, and you don't see this level of outrage and protest?
It's not 95%.
But it is.
We don't cover 95%.
I'm not talking about what we cover. The statistics, it's a fact. 95%. Yeah, but why is there not the same outrage and level of attention? Why is there not the same outrage and level of attention?
You asked my opinion.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm giving you my opinion.
Okay, tell us.
I'm giving you my answer.
I want to hear it.
But like I said, 95% of this country is not black. Number one. Okay? And yes, we do have a lot of black-on-black crime. And no, it is not as bad as it is seen in the media, because the media hypes on whatever situation is going on at the time. Yes, there is black-on-black. Yes, there is white-on-white. Yes, there is Latino-on-Latino. There is Mexican-on-Mexican. Yes, in all nationalities. And there's also white-on-black, Latino-on white, black, whatever, whoever. Yes, it happens that way. But when something as outstanding as what has happened with this young man down in Samson, Florida, I mean, this is outrageous, Armstrong, and you've got to admit that this is outrageous.
Well, Linda, you didn't hear a word. Linda, stop, Linda, stop. You heard every word I said. I said that I still felt that George Zimmerman should have been arrested. I said I was outraged, but still, I've said this. I mean, come on now. But I said.
You were saying you didn't understand why Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton was making it a racist situation.
They have made this. They've turned this into an issue of race.
No, they did not.
That's my opinion that they have. Well then, I tell you, that's the outcome of it.
They're talking Fox News and everybody else that's been talking about it. Yes, they made it racist. And Zimmerman made it racist when he said what he said and then shot that young man.
What did he say, Linda? What did he say?
Did you listen to the recording?
I did, but I want you to tell me what he said.
He called him a FK.
An F what?
An FK.
Oh, a coon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look.
And that was just before he attacked him. I heard it when it first hit the news.
Linda, let me say this. Let me stop you a minute. Let me say this to you. I wrote this. Linda, just stop a minute. I wrote this in my column. I wrote it. I said he called him a coon. Obviously, racism was there, but still.
And this is when he was chasing him.
That's right. Listen, I admit it. I wrote that. But all I'm saying to you, doesn't he deserve a trial for the jury to reach a conclusion?
Are we going to have a trial?
We should have one.
There's going to be an opportunity for a jury.
I believe he should.
Still walking free.
I don't think he should be walking free. You and I agree on that.
I don't either.
So we agree.
I agree with you on that.
Yes, he shouldn't be walking free. He should have been arrested. He should have been arrested and still in jail now.
The same night that it happened.
Yes.
But because of certain people in that police station, he was not. There were officers that did bring it to the light as it should have been.
The prosecutor recommended
he should have been arrested.
The prosecutor.
But there was the chief of police who said, no, he shouldn't be arrested.
Linda, don't move. Just stay right there. Let me get Mary has a question. Stay there, Linda. Don't move. Okay. Mary has a question. Go ahead, Mary. We're gonna have multiple lines. Go ahead, Mary.
I want to know, how they could give this guy a concealed gun license when he had assault on a police officer and domestic violence.
Another good point. I agree with that. I agree with you. This guy had a record.
Yeah.
No
question.
And
then I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you think of people that use the words them, they, those people?
Well, we all do that. I'm not going to make too much out of that. We all can be guilty of that. It can be a slip of the tongue. Sometimes it can be intentional, but I don't think people always mean the worst when they say that. Everybody, if you listen to them, they do it. So I'm not going to make too much out of that.
But when you do it over and over, I mean, like if somebody says to me, those people, I will say to them, what people? Who do you mean specifically?
Right.
Because I think that kind of hatred and prejudice is what divides us and makes this color issue. Because I know that every mother, every parent is feeling for Trayvon's parents. I mean, nobody should kill a 17-year-old who's holding Skittles and an iced tea. And if he did attack Zimmerman deserved it for calling him coon.
Oh, yeah, Zimmerman was out of line. I'm sorry. I wrote it. It was out of line. I'm not defending Zimmerman. Zimmerman should have been locked up. I believe Zimmerman. It was manslaughter. I believe it. It could, to me, it was homicide. I don't want to go that far because I don't want to get emotional about this. We agree, but I'm still saying there's a process in place, our justice system, to deal with it. And justice did shirk its responsibility when law enforcement, who had the evidence, and the prosecutor said, I don't believe what Zimmerman is saying, arrest him on homicide and manslaughter, and they refused to. And you ask yourself why.
There's something wrong with our Justice Department. You've got the new Black Panthers putting out a flyer. You know, it's up, I think, to $23,000 now, dead or alive.
That's wrong. There's no place for that.
That's murder for contract.
That's murder for contract. You're right, and we have to condemn it.
Yeah, and then what if the Aryan Brotherhood, but they wouldn't defend Zimmerman because he's a Latino. But what if some like of the Latin gangs, I don't want to give any names to give them any credit, but what if the Latin gang said, you know, we're going to go down there and protect our guy?
But you know what?
I mean, what kind of country would we
you're
live in?
You're making a very good point. That is why we have to condemn injustices. We have to condemn bigotry, no matter where it's coming from, because if you don't, it opens up Pandora's box for others to do worse.
Exactly.
Dr. Lynn, you have a comment? Stay there, Mary.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, and Armstrong hasn't had a chance to introduce me. Hi, I'm Dr. Dorree Lynn. You've heard me before, and I just wanted to speak to something you said, and that is everybody in America divides and says them. And it doesn't matter whether it's the Jews to the Irish or the Italians to the blacks or the blacks to the whites. That's parlance. That's American parlance. It's common. It doesn't mean it's right. It's divisive. But I think we can't put that much meaning on it. I think there is a real question, and particularly in places like Florida, where you can get a gun easily. You have the right to protect yourself, and just about anybody can get a gun. And that is a very serious question, because obviously Zimmerman had no right to have a gun, period.
Exactly. Thank you for clearing up the them, those, me, us for me, because I find it offensive when someone refers to another group as those people.
Well, I am Caucasian, and I live in a world that is, I am a Caucasian with Indian children. So we've had I can speak from all nationalities and colors, actually. We've got a rainbow coalition. But I live in a world where that is common parlance.
But Mary, also
it makes me cringe.
But Mary, also bear this in mind. When people in the community say, I got to take care of my own and my people, it's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing, because you're
to you it may not be. To you it may not be, but to others they will say, well, that doesn't include me. You're excluding someone. It's the same thing.
I see your point.
Thank you.
And I love your show, and I think that everything you said was great, and we should be more outraged by the gang fights, the drive-by shootings where innocent children are killed, people sleeping in their beds. You know, those people need some of this attention, too.
Yes, everybody. We should have the same outrage, not when it just involved perceived race.
Right.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I couldn't agree more.
Linda, your final comment? Did you go? Did we lose Linda?
No, I'm still there. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is that Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton did not bring race into the issue. Race was brought into the issue when it initially happened. That's when it was brought in.
Your point is well taken.
They are not speaking in terms of race. They were speaking in terms of supporting and helping the family because the family invited them in, asked them to come and to help them with
many people invite them to come in between you and I and everybody else. Many people invite them to come in, but they cherry pick where they decide to put their credibility and what can get there.
Entertain every idea?
No, but no, I don't. No, I don't.
Everybody reserves the right to
yes, okay. Good point. Touche. Good point. Good point. Yeah, I got you. Well, thank you, Linda. David, hold there. Don't go away. Dr. Dorree Lynn and I will be back. This is Armstrong Williams. We're kicking it. Don't go away.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. You had a comment, Dr. Dorree Lynn. Go ahead.
I said that what people didn't realize in the beginning was because his name was Zimmerman, it was assumed immediately that he was white and probably Jewish. And it becomes very murky when you start to have Hispanic and black, and you begin to wonder what's racial and what's just ridiculously awful behavior. You know, you have to ask that because the first stories were not the most accurate.
No, and that did...
And this has to do with relationships. It's how we immediately stereotype
and how we
people.
Perceive each other.
And we stereotype, and we go with that stereotype before we gather information. And once we start gathering information, then we can have a developed point of view. We jump to conclusions, all of us, and that's wrong.
Why do we go in such a rage over the issue of race, though? I mean, if race was not involved, if it were, this would be less of an issue. Just think about that. And we're talking about someone who died for no reason at all, in my opinion.
Like it or not, we're still in a society that is racist, and it's predominantly racist against African Americans. But you start getting into even upper class and colleges, and there's become a war between Asians and whites, because everybody is starting to feel that there's partiality. We live in a country that was supposed to be a melting pot. We're not a melting pot. We're a soup of many colors, and people don't realize that. I do want to say that being a relationship expert, and on the positive side, the latest statistics on intermarriage are phenomenal, and over 10%, and it may be as high as 15% of marriages are between black and white and other nationalities. Well, that's unheard of given the laws of 20 years ago. So we have racism, but on a resilient side, I'm moving towards saying there's a positive movement going on, because if people can intermarry, we're going to have kids that are going to be whatever color in the rainbow. We're no longer going to be able to say somebody's black or white. And that is the way the world is going, or at least that's the way America is going.
I got to tell you something we do have to address, which...
and that's a statistical truth.
Which Mary and Linda alluded to, and this is a fact. There is no way if a black kid had killed a white kid in the same circumstances in Florida, they would not have been arrested. I mean, people are not stupid. I agree with you. People are not stupid. I agree with you. So how do you trust law enforcement? How do you trust the justice system when they so blatantly have a different standard? How can you not see nothing else but race? So it's not it's the government falling short of their responsibilities, and the people are divided and
suffer. No question about that. Look at some of the stuff that's happened in Los Angeles. Look at some of the stuff that's happened in D.C. The law is skewed. The more African Americans, the more blacks we get on law enforcement, in some ways, the better off we are. But there are places that are as prejudiced and ignorant as they were 50 years ago. And you and I both know that.
This is true. You know, the more I...
And if a white had done it, yes, he or she would probably get away more easily. That's sad.
Yes, it is really sad. And it is sad.
But the instant stereotypes.
And imagine, but wait a minute, stop. Imagine if you were in their shoes, and you had a child of color, and imagine you watching Florida, and you witness this. Wouldn't you be afraid for your son and daughter?
Absolutely. When my kids were young, I'm going to tell you the truth. When my kids were young, I did not drive in certain places in rural Virginia, because I was a blonde white mom with 2 dark-skinned kids, and I was not safe. And that's true. I've experienced it. I know it. So it still exists, but I still have hope.
Jeff, you have a comment. Hello, Jeff.
I was born in Newark, New Jersey. I happen to be white and Jewish, and always went to integrated schools in Newark. Moved to California when I was like 7 years old, and still, schools there are very integrated. And now we lived out in California till about 7 years ago. We moved to Columbia, South Carolina. And I think that the difference is geographical in this country, because when we're here in South Carolina and we can drive on back roads to North Carolina, and in doing so you pass residences that are flying to stars and bars. And you're thinking to yourself, where am I? You know, what's going on here? And I think in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New York, people are way more tolerant and more accepting of diversity. But you get to these little towns, and I don't know Sanford, Florida, but I guarantee you it's one of these little towns that are back in the 60s. They haven't emerged into the 21st century yet.
Jeff, if I can respond to you, I love your point, because I live in both the North and South, and it's like going from one cultural country to another. And larger cities, certainly a place like D.C., are easier. New Jersey is easier. In fact, there you have more prejudice sometimes against Italians than against blacks. People are more integrated, and I think it's a fabulous point. A lot of it is geographical.
But Jeff, I think that the other point is education.
But Jeff, let me raise this with you. Why would Italians fear blacks? For me, I know people are going to think I sound crazy. I don't understand how you could dislike someone or not trust someone because of the hue of their skin, which says the least about them.
Hey, look, you know, it's like when I grew up, I mean, being little, I remember my parents wouldn't buy anything made in Germany because, you know, they still had a lot of animosity.
But that's different. That's different.
No, but my point is people make broad generalizations. I've been to Germany. I met a lot of nice people there. You can't, it's like you say, people get, I think it has to do with education, honestly, and how much people get exposed to other ways of thinking and other cultures. I mean, some people don't even travel 50 miles outside of the place they were born.
Armstrong, I have to agree with Jeff. It's easier when you look different to make an instant generalization, but people do live with generalizations. And you've had Holocausts, not just during the Holocaust, but the Armenians. Cultures have tried to wipe one culture out, not just because they look different, but because they believe differently.
Yeah, listen, there are white people that I'm afraid of just by looking at them. Like if I see a guy with a Hell's Angels vest, I don't want to approach that person. You know, I'll cross the street.
Let me ask you both. Let me ask you both something, and I want you to be as honest.
But people do generalize.
I want you to be as open and candid to this question as possible because it's a very difficult one. And I asked this based on conversations I've had because for some reason my friends and other people confide in me because they're troubled by how they're thinking and how they're feeling, and they don't like feeling the way they are. And so they will confide. And someone confided into me that they were talking to many of their white friends watching this situation in Florida, and they began to realize that it brings out what they feel is their own racism because they resent the fact that this is mob and vigilante justice. They resent the fact that it's a double standard, and they find themselves feeling less sympathetic for blacks in these situations because they feel that the media and the system is against them because anytime it involves someone in white that looks like them, people assume that is in their DNA, they're racist, so they're automatically racism. It could not be anything else but race why he shot this kid. And to them, it brings about a lot of resentment, and they just want to turn it off. And they become very bitter inside and raw, and they can't talk to anyone except somebody can be sympathetic to what they're saying.
I'm going to just...
I'll give you my slant on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to just disagree with you too, but go ahead, Jeff.
Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. To me, it's amazing because honestly, when things like this happen, to me, the race thing is so secondary. It's just such an injustice. Whether I think I heard on the news, I don't know, in Chicago, 2 black kids threw gasoline on a white kid and burned him up in retribution. I mean, and my thing was, I wasn't mad because those kids were black and the victim was white, and I'm not mad because the victim is black in this situation and the perpetrator was a white person or Hispanic. I'm just mad because stuff like this happens. I just think people are crazy, and I don't know I am so non-prejudiced. I don't think of people in terms of color. I just think of them if they're good people and decent people. And I mean, they come in all colors. But there are bad people that also come in all colors. And if I have a prejudice, it's against mean, evil, hateful, bigoted, stupid people. I hate them.
Jeff, stay there. Call us. The phone lines are open. We're streaming live at www.livestream.com/Armstrong Williams. You can email us and get more information. Get our newsletter at info@rightsidewire.com. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Mama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Dr. Dorree Lynn, you were going to say something?
I was going to say that there's a real interesting twist in this case, because when whites found out that Zimmerman was Hispanic, for a lot of whites, it took away the racial issue. They said, aha, we're being blamed, but it's not us. It's the political system. It's the gun system. It's hatred between two people. It's deeper than that. But the minute they found he wasn't white, it took it out of the racial realm. And that's a point that's not been well taken or well made.
Lee, you have a comment? No, something happened with your phone, Lee. Okay, go ahead. Jeff, don't go anywhere. We're coming back to you. Go ahead, Lee.
Yes, I never, maybe didn't tell you, my hometown is from Newark also. I was born and raised there. And I remember when I got pulled over by the cops, I was riding with 4 other my friends. And standard procedure, well, I know that we hold our hands up. I told them to hold their hands up because you're liable to get shot. And this has been over 25 years ago. So, it's still going on. And I know better on how to deal with the cops when they pull me over. Show my hands, and maybe if I got to even strip naked,
if necessary.
But
Where do you live?
But Zimmerman was not a police officer.
Well, as far as that, I've done security work and I'm doing security work, and from the get-go, you just report. You don't do no heavy lifting or chasing nobody. You out of order. I do security work. I've been doing security work for years. You don't go and run after nobody. I'm saying I do security work right here in Columbia. I call Richmond County. I don't go run after nobody. I don't know what they got. But when you got a 9mm on you, you feel pretty bad. Then you run down anybody if you want to do that. But as a security guard, you don't do that.
Is it possible that Zimmerman, as an individual, was just off his rocker?
Well, somebody said, and I agree with them. When you have a gun, they say it's the great equalizer. I don't care how big you are, small you are. Now, I weigh around about 150 pounds myself. And if I got a 9mm in my hand, I don't care how big you are. You want to listen to what I say or else. So, judging by his past history, that, of course.
And he has a violent record. Lee, hold there. Don't go anywhere. Don't move. We're going to get a comment from Ara. Ara has a comment in question. Go ahead, Ara. Ara.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to bring out the fact that when the incident happened to the young man, Trayvon Martin, who got killed, this is a child. And the thing of it is, when he got killed, the report that came out first, they said that Zimmerman, the police, was reporting that he was a white. So that's how that started. Then we found out that Zimmerman's father was a magistrate judge, and his father was white. His mother was Peruvian or Hispanic. And then they came to the conclusion that either his father was Jewish or his mother was Hispanic. So that's how that started. And the thing of it is, blacks have been oppressed for years, and there have been an outrage, even black-on-black crime. The media may not have put it out strong enough, but there have been incidents where blacks were outraged when black-on-black crime. As far as the president, when the president of the United States made a comment, he said if he had a son, Trayvon would look just like his son. They made a racial issue out of it, even on the Republican Party side. And I'm like, why are you doing this? This is a child. When that young lady from Aruba, Natalie Holloway, when she was missing, she was a child. Everybody was outraged. She was a white girl, and everybody felt for her. So when you look in the eyes of a child, you're really concerned. This is a child. And then they made an issue out of Trayvon as being a hoodlum or something like that. This was an innocent child who got killed. Everybody should be outraged on that.
So you're saying it's really not as racial as some people have made it?
Well, actually, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the thing of it is part of it is and part of it is not. But what I'm trying to say is this is a child, an innocent child who got killed, cold-blooded murder. This man should have been arrested on sight, because when they did the surveillance camera, this man lied and said he had a busted nose and a gas on the back of his head. When they did the surveillance tape, there was no evidence showing of that. That man lied. And all this investigation, this man should have been arrested immediately.
Well, I agree.
I agree. I agree.
Well, we all agree that
we agree.
He should have been arrested immediately. There's no doubt about
that.
So
this is a travesty and justice.
So, Ara, thank you so much for calling in. We share many of your sentiments. Thank you for listening to the show. Let's go to Sherry, who has a comment. Go ahead, Sherry.
Hi. It'd be interesting to know whether or not a background check was done on Mr. Zimmerman before he was appointed as a safety officer or crime watch for his neighborhood. I'm with a neighborhood association here in Columbia, and we just started a crime watch unit. We have a captain that's over it. He is retired law enforcement. He's worked with Homeland Security, FBI, a lot of the local law enforcement agencies, and one of the first things we decided on before we went down this road was that anyone that was interested in being involved in that as far as a block captain, they had to have a sled background check done on them.
That is
and
a
if they
great
had
point.
anything that popped up, they would not be allowed to participate in it. And they are told they have met with both the local and the county law enforcement agencies, and they've been instructed on what they can and cannot do and what they should and should not do. And it was reiterated Tuesday. Fortunately, we had talked about having them as our speakers back in November. And so it was just, timing's everything. It worked out because he did address the situation and, and re-emphasized, if you see something, call the police. If you don't want to, you don't have to give them your name. Do not go after anyone. And, he even mentioned, he said, as long as he's been in law enforcement, he has a concealed weapon permit. He said, I carry a gun all the time. But the last thing I ever want to do is shoot somebody. And that we had chief of police and several officers in the room at the time, and they all said the same thing. Nobody ever wants to have to pull a gun, and that's their job. So, I would be interested to know whether or not any type of background check was done on him or any of the others. And that's something, regardless of where you are, your color, or anything else, that should be required before you could participate in a neighborhood crime watch.
That is such a great point, because my understanding is that he slipped through the cracks and that the background check was really sloppy. And that is something that if you're going to be allowed to carry a gun, which is an amendment right, you've got to have a good background check. And he slipped through the cracks, as I understand it.
Did he have a concealed weapon permit to even carry a gun?
I think so.
Yes, he did. Okay. But he did have a history.
Check to do that, because I've gone through the CWP program, and they do that before they'll issue you one. So somebody didn't take into consideration serious warning signs.
Sherry, it's always good hearing from you. Thank you so much for calling.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Dorree Lynn, it's always a pleasure having you on. What's your information, your profile information? You didn't get the chance to talk about sex today.
No, we didn't get to talk about sex. I will next time. I want to talk about how the media is demonstrating our political history and our sexual conflicts. I think it's fascinating. So I'll leave that as a titillating piece for next time, with the purchase of 50 Shades of Grey, and a lot of you know what I'm talking about. But you can always read my book, which is called Sex for Grown-Ups. Dr. Dorree reveals the truths, lies, and must-tries for great sex after 50. And we hope you're married, but unfortunately in America today, which is something to look at, 52% of people are divorced.
Dr. Dorree Lynn, thank you so much for joining us. Callers, I always want to thank you for your participation, your civility, your respect, your intellect, your compassion, your love for humanity. Just thank you so much for listening to the show, because certainly you have options. You don't have to turn into the right side every day, because I know you all think I'm pretty conservative, which I am. And, I can't help it. I'm getting older in life, and so that's what happens with old age. But thank you again. We want to thank our flagship station, WGCV 620 AM, Yolanda, and all the good people there. Let me just tell you, Tony Jameson and my main man, Alex Snipes. Thank you all so much for joining us. Another good day, another good broadcast. Reason, common sense, and we all will take something away from this that will make us wiser and more careful in the decisions and the choices we make. Take care, everyone.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website,